All right, there we go. We should be good. Y'all should be able to hear me. You know what to do. It's that time. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We are back at it. Looking all crispy and clean. I can't even say it. Looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream, another episode of the ClassE Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE, of patreon.com/ClassEbeats. By the way, make sure you check out the link. It's in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. We're going to have a great time today. Y'all know the Karen Reed trial ended yesterday, but we've still got a lot to talk about when it comes to Karen Reed. Obviously, I know you guys saw Michael Proctor did an interview. He is on this video with 2020. We're actually going to review the full interview from 2020. It's going to be very interesting to see if y'all haven't checked that out yet. But before we get into it, I got to say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in here. Y'all know we got my awesome, amazing Amy is in the building to start the day. Les Cleaver is in here as well. Good morning. Sassy and Free, Melissa B, Slim Life, New Jersey, Virginia Wiley. Shout out to Libby22 SC Girl is in here, and there's a bunch of y'all in the building ready to go. This is going to be interesting, right? Hopefully y'all are doing well. Thank you to all 500 of you that have liked the video so far, and get ready for the show. If you could and you haven't yet, make sure you guys like the video. It's free. It takes less than a second, and it lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show. It shares the video and the channel with more people, lets them know we're live. And if you guys are feeling extra generous, you can hit the share button and share the video out with more people as well. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it here in a second, but I do want to acknowledge those of you that took the extra step and went the extra mile and sent in some super chats. We're gonna be reading super chats throughout the show as well, so y'all check it out. We've got Les Cleaver in the building. Shout out to Les Cleaver with the 5 bomb. He says, God bless you always, ClassE and Amy and my CEB family. Take each day as it comes with a smile and a breath. God has this always. I agree. Thank you, Les Cleaver, for that. We've also got Virginia Wiley in here with the 10 bomb. Says, good morning to my CEB family. Congratulations to Karen Reed. I'm so happy for her. Me too. Now on to the next. And remember, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. Amen. I added that part in there. Be great on purpose and share the love. Thank you, Virginia Wiley. Amen and amen. I love that. Virginia Wiley also says with the 10 bomb, excuse me. She says, good morning to my CEB family. Congratulations, Karen. Oh, she sent it twice. Dang, Virginia, she must have double tapped. She must have double tapped that super chat button. Thank you, Virginia, for the double love. I appreciate it. Always in here, always showing support. Shout out to y'all putting the hashtag freed up in here because Karen Reed is free. Absolutely. What are y'all? We've got Ambala. Did I say that right? Ambala lady is in here from the UK. We got Elizabeth in here. Shout out to all the members in the building. It's good to see y'all in here. Now, as I mentioned to y'all, just because Karen Reed trial is over doesn't mean that we're stopping. Y'all know we always have stuff to cover here on the channel. Always crazy news going on. We've got a lot, mostly Karen Reed follow-up to cover today, but we're going to be getting into the Brian Kohberger trial. I know a lot of you were excited for that one. And this trial is a little bit interesting. So we've got a mini docu-series, a documentary that we're going to review from CW. So we'll be checking that out towards the end of the show. So if you're not familiar with what's going on with Brian Kohberger, because I'm not, we're going to be looking at that, finding out what exactly is going on as we get into it. All right, let me read a couple of y'all's comments and see what y'all are saying. The Karen Reed supporters was tart yesterday. They was listening to 50 Cent Many Men and knew the words. Oh man, shout out to them. Dennis is in here. Good morning. That guy could have asked more questions. I'm sorry I missed you being here. I'm sorry I missed you being here with the fam on such a big day, but my hubby was with me watching. Shout out to Nosy Rosie. We got Under Open here. LTO is in the building too. Says, laugh aloud. Congrats. Yo, by the way, can you send me that 99 back? I can't send it back. Good morning to Under Oath. Good to see you. I'm following Kohberger as well. It's my neck of the woods. Shout out to Montana Lil in the building. Okay, we'll be checking that out. Also, we need to come down from that trial. Can't quit cold turkey. Yeah, we've got a lot of Karen Reed to cover. So again, as Amy is reminding y'all, make sure you like the video on your way in, and we'll go ahead and get into some updates here shortly. ClassE, will you be covering the Petito versus Laundry civil case when it happens? Ooh, what? I don't know what that's about. We will definitely look into it. FN agent, and I'll let you know for sure. But yeah, I'll see what that's about for sure. We've got Slim Life New Jersey in here with the 5 bomb. Says, good morning, ClassE, Amy, and my amazing chat fam. Have a blessed day, and remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Amen. Love y'all, and shout out to #Freed, Karen Freed up in here. We've also got Amy, my awesome, amazing Amy, gifting 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, y'all do the right thing. As the commissioner said, do the right thing and make sure you say thank you. Amy is always so generous, always giving great insight and supporting the community as well. So y'all make sure you show her some love. Check out the members only content and just say thank you. All right. Happy Juneteenth as well to those of you that celebrate. I know the barbecues are going to be going crazy today. They're going to be going insane. We might be outside for a little bit today. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Again, if y'all are ready to get into it, make sure you like the video, and we're going to update y'all on what's going on here. I forgot to change my headline, so let me update this. Boom. Now we got the headline in here, and we've got a lot of Karen Reed to cover today. So let's get into it. Obviously, as many of you know, Karen Reed is free. All she has to serve is 1 year of probation for OUI after being on trial for seemingly the better of 2, close to 3 years. She had 1 trial, mistrial, 2nd trial. Now we have a verdict. She's not guilty on murder in the 2nd degree. Not guilty, obviously, of leaving the scene of an accident that may have resulted in death. And then the manslaughter, she was just found guilty of the OUI. So still not guilty of John O'Keefe's murder. But with that being said, Karen Reed still has the uphill battle she's facing. Now, what we're going to talk about next with this civil suit with Karen Reed is nowhere even close to what she was facing in this murder trial. As you guys know, the burden of proof in a civil case is not as heavy as beyond a reasonable doubt like it would be in the criminal case. So we're going to go through the civil suit. We're going to look at exactly what is being asked in the civil suit, who is suing Karen Reed, and who else is included in this lawsuit. And we actually have the document for you. Shout out to Amy for the document of the civil lawsuit, and we'll be reviewing that as well. Let's check this out from the news in Boston, see what they have to say.
Breaking tonight, Karen Reed driving away from the Dedham courthouse, a free woman, found not guilty of murder and not guilty of manslaughter in the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. The only guilty verdict in the case was driving drunk.
Now, her criminal case is closed, but a civil case filed by the O'Keefe family is still pending. WBZ's Christina Rex is back to explain what's next.
The O'Keefe family filed this civil lawsuit last summer, shortly after Karen Reed's first criminal trial ended in a mistrial due to a hung jury. Now, this is a civil lawsuit, meaning the family is seeking money damages, and there's a much lower legal standard than what you see in a criminal case like the one we just witnessed. The suit isn't only against Reed, but also the 2 bars she was out drinking at that night who served her alcohol, C.F. McCarthy's and the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton. The O'Keefe family claims that the bars are liable for serving Karen Reed alcohol that night. They say Reed drove her vehicle in a state of intoxication, risking grave injury or death to John O'Keefe. Now, the civil court had ruled that Karen Reed did not have to be deposed or questioned in this civil case until after her criminal trial ended. Of course, that criminal trial just ended in a conviction just for OUI, operating under the influence. In Dedham, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
All right, shout out to the Boston News there. We've got another video we're going to check out. So as you guys have heard, she is being sued by the O'Keefe family. Now, you may be wondering, well, what are they trying to get? And also, why are they suing the bars as well? Well, we're going to get into the lawsuit here shortly, but we also have another video from a news right there in Canton talking about what the O'Keefe family is looking for specifically in this lawsuit. Here we go.
O'Keefe's family has yet to speak publicly since this verdict was handed down, but a friend of John's tells us that it is a tragedy that this death remains unsolved. Now, the O'Keefe family exited out a side door yesterday after the court was dismissed. His college friend tells us they are disappointed with the outcome, but ultimately they respect the jury's decision. The friend stopped short of saying that Karen Reed got away with murder, but did react to what Reed said on the steps of the courthouse just moments after her acquittal.
No one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have and my team.
It's just unfortunate. If she decided to make better decisions between 12:30 and 6 a.m., it'd still be here.
Well. Okay, hold on, chill. I know that's John's college friend, and I know he's upset, but dude, a Canton police officer, namely John O'Keefe, was the one who suggested that she get in the car and drive. All right. So we, again, rest in peace to John O'Keefe, but we are not going to put the full responsibility on Karen. She should have never been driving in the first place.
It'd still be here.
20. Now, among the many witnesses in this trial was Jennifer McCabe, who took the stand to testify about the night O'Keefe was found dead. She and other witnesses shared a joint statement saying in part, while we may have more to say in the future, today we mourn with John's family and lament the cruel reality that this prosecution was infected by lies and conspiracy theories spread by Karen Reed, her defense team, and some in the media. The result is a devastating miscarriage of justice. John O'Keefe was 46 years old when he died, and a 16-year veteran of the police department.
All right, so what are they actually looking for in this lawsuit? So let's talk about it, and I'm going to read through this article. The jury found Karen Reed not guilty of second-degree murder in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, but her legal troubles are not over, obviously. Reed, 45, of Mansfield, a former adjunct professor at the Bentley University, wept and hugged her attorneys Wednesday as the verdicts in this high-profile murder case were read after the jury deliberated for 22 hours over 4 days. She was convicted on a lesser charge, as we know, for the OUI, but a civil case is still outstanding. Last August, John O'Keefe's family filed a civil lawsuit in Plymouth Superior Court against Reed and two Canton bars, or bars, as we say. We're not done with the Boston accent yet. C.F. McCarthy's and the Waterfall. All right, Bar and Grill. In the lawsuit filed in Plymouth Superior Court, Paul O'Keefe is targeting Reed and the two bars on behalf of his family. So Paul is filing this, which would make sense why he was maybe a little bit more invested in this case. But it gets crazier, guys. All right, including a niece and nephew of his brother cared for. So his adopted kids. The O'Keefes allege Reed intended the reckless conduct that resulted in John O'Keefe's injuries and death, and alleged the bar negligently served alcohol to an intoxicated person. Additionally, the O'Keefes accused Reed of inflicting emotional distress on the then 14-year-old niece by waking her up early in the morning and telling the child something had happened to her uncle. Again, this is a civil case, guys. They say Reed intentionally and or recklessly inflicted severe emotional distress when she woke up the niece and informed her that she hit her uncle or that a snowplow hit her uncle, the lawsuit states. And this is by the niece's testimony. Reed's conduct was extreme and outrageous, beyond the bounds of decency, and was utterly intolerable, the lawsuit also states. The suit is seeking, wait for it, at least $50,000 in damages. The O'Keefe family has not publicly commented on the verdict and slipped out a side door after court was dismissed. So we've got $50,000 in damages. Guys, we got to look at the lawsuit and see what they're alleging, and eventually this may go to trial. I have a feeling this is probably going to get settled at some point, especially with the two bars being included in this. They might split it, who knows, 20-10, and Karen Reed has to write a $10,000 check. I think they should just probably go ahead and get this over with and have it done. But we'll see here in a second. I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. We're going to get into the actual civil lawsuit here shortly. But before I do that, I want to know how y'all feel about this. Will Karen Reed and the Waterfall and CF McCarthy settle, or should they just keep this moving forward? Let me know what y'all think. All right, so let's get into this civil lawsuit here, because I'm be interested to know y'all's thoughts. Also, shout out to everyone who stopped by. I see a couple of late comers in here. Also, Kara in the building, Kara Hampton with the 5 memberships. Thank you, Kara, for the love. Appreciate you. We've got Heiser fam is in here. Paua Eyes is back. Vintage Galleria, Mellow DC, Trisha. Good morning to y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got Tatum is in here about to cut up. Danny in real life is in the building as well. Also, shout out to Keep It Moving New York with the 2 bomb. Says president and vice president election donation. Thank you. Thank you. Amy almost said she was going to get out of the race yesterday, but I talked her back into it. She's not going anywhere. Amy's for vice president. CPE is in the building too. Good morning. We've got Summer Love Romero's in here. Pretty Eyes T is in the building. Who else did I miss? I know some of y'all. I missed some of y'all. Elizabeth is back at it as well. Good to see you, Elizabeth. It will get tossed. They have nothing. They should be suing the cops. I hope. Dang, do y'all think they'll sue the Boston police or the Canton police or the Commonwealth? I don't know. Her insurance carrier settled it under her policy, not worth expert costs or lawyer fees. Yeah, I mean, they should just agree to split it. The bars, because they serve the alcohol, maybe they each pay, I don't know, $22,500. Each of the bars played $22,500 and Karen Reed pays $5,000. I mean, just get it over with and have it done. I would be shocked if this actually goes to court. DUI for the police should be. Why should Karen pay for something she didn't do? Was she anywhere near John? If not, I don't see Karen having to pay. Well, we're going to get into it. Let's just get into it here, because it's not just about her driving drunk or hitting John. That's a part of it. And it is proven that the Waterfall, and CF McCarthy's did serve both of them alcohol. And maybe they should have held back. But there are other plaintiffs mentioned in this too, as y'all see, because the niece is saying that, I don't know, she was under emotional distress because Karen woke her up in the middle of the night and was yelling about her hitting someone or John being dead or whatever. That's just not fair, though. Yeah, it's not fair, but write the check. Shout out to Silver Penny, says, I'm a new listener. Good morning. Karen Freed. Yeah, good morning to y'all as well. Amy says, First Lady, yes, but VP IDK. Amy, come on. Dang. It's all right. We're working on it. Why can't you do both? You know you be doing both, Amy, so. You out here doing both in other ways. You can do it as a VP and First Lady. Miss DB is in here as well. D says, big up to ClassE and fellow law tuber. Am I officially a law tuber? I don't know. Did I earn the right to be mentioned among other law tubers for bringing it to the attention of the public? If it wasn't for people, I would never have reached the world. It would never have reached the world. Yeah, I agree. I think Turtle Boy gets a lot of credit for that. And several others, but definitely TB's got to take most of the credit. I'm just here grifting, as they say. You know, I'm not. I'm just a guy out here trying to clout chase. So don't give me my flowers. Appreciate you, D. Would it be any different if they'd waited morning? You have to clarify. James Walker's in here, says Karen Reed will win because they can't establish the cause of death. The vehicle didn't strike him. This is all BF. Hey, they just need a little bit of blue paint and they'll be fine. James Waller. Is that James Waller of Waller's Custom Leather? Taco Tuesday is in here. You're Amy's tuber. I'll take that. Amy also says, with the 2 bomb, she said, I'll do both because it's you. Shout out to Amy. That's right. Amy will, Amy would kill it as a press secretary. Yes. Yes. She's going to do all of it. Press secretary, first lady, VP. And I'll just be sitting up there signing executive orders. Isn't that the way it should be? I mean, hey, if Biden can do what he did, I'm sure I can handle it. Dang. Shout out to Joe Biden. All right, let's go ahead and get into Oh, that's going to hurt some people's feelings. Let's go ahead and get into this civil lawsuit. This is going to be real quick, guys. I'm not going to review it at length, but I think this is important for us to see exactly what John O'Keefe's family is looking for. So who do we have here? Paul O'Keefe got involved as personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III. I didn't realize he was the third. Paul O'Keefe individually, John O'Keefe II, okay, Margaret O'Keefe, and Margaret O'Keefe as a grandparent and guardian of Kaylee Furbush. Okay, so that's the niece there. That's going to be important here, and maybe why Karen ends up having to pay up. We'll have to wait and see. Who is it versus? Who are the defendants? We've got CNC Hospitality LLC, CF McCarthy's, G&S Hospitality LLC, CF McCarthy's Waterfall Bar and Grill, LTD, Waterfall Bar and Grill, and of course, our Karen Reed. Parties and jurisdiction. We're not going to go through that because we know who they is. I do want to read this though. The plaintiff, Kaylee, she's going to be referred to as Kaylee Furbush, is the surviving niece of the late John O'Keefe III. At all relevant times, material hereto, the plaintiff, Kaylee, was under the guardianship of John and a resident in Canton, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. I'm going to try it there. All right. So they list all the entities there. We know what it is. Here are the facts, guys. Plaintiff represents, realleges, and incorporates by reference as set forth hereto in their entirety, all prior paragraphs of the complaint. The decedent, John or JJ, they're going to refer to him as JJ, was the middle of three children in a tightly knit family. JJ was a third generation Boston police officer. After the tragic death of JJ's sister, Kristen, and brother-in-law, Steve, JJ took custody and guardianship of his niece, Kaylee, and nephew, Patrick, who were 6 and 3, respectively. Over the next 8 years until his tragic passing, JJ, that's weird not calling him JL, JJ raised and supported his niece and nephew. After the tragic death of JJ, Margaret took guardianship and custody of her grandchildren, Kaylee and Patrick. At all relative times on or before January 29th, JJ and defendant Reed were in a dating relationship. In the months, weeks, and days leading up to January 29th, JJ and defendant Reed's relationship was deteriorating. It's possible. It's possible that that's true. During such time, defendant Reed picked fights, experienced jealousy, and had delusions of unfaithfulness. Well, okay, now. Delusions? I don't know about that one. On or about January 28th, defendant Reed knew that her relationship with JJ had run its course. On January 28th, on or about 8:51 p.m., plaintiff arrived at CF McCarthy's. CF McCarthy's was licensed to distribute, sell, or serve alcohol. Why did they say was? I guess because it's in the past. Are they not open? That's weird that they phrase it that way. Anyway, it was in the past. On January 28, 2022, on or about 8:58 p.m., CF McCarthy served Reed an alcoholic beverage. Reed consumed said drinks and drinks after that as well, which is why we knew, well, most of us knew, y'all doubted me. Y'all doubted us, which is why she got the OUI, right? On January 28, 2022, CF McCarthy's, through its agents, servants, or employees, serve alcoholic beverages to the defendant Reed on or about 9:13, 9:20, 9:33, 9:57, 10:22, and 10:29 p.m. Lord have mercy. And Reed drank all of them. Karen was, y'all, man, I cannot believe y'all argued with me about this. Shot. Come on, y'all. Anyway, CF McCarthy's, through its agents, servants, or employees, served defendant Reed 7 alcoholic drinks between 8:58 p.m. and 10:29 p.m. Y'all were up in here saying that she was drinking for 2 hours and she would have been fine and been able to drive. No. During all relevant times at or before 10:29 p.m. on January 28th, defendant Reed showed signs of intoxication while at CF McCarthy's. On January 28th, at or about 10:40 p.m., JJ and defendant Reed left CF McCarthy's. On January 28th, At or about 10:40 p.m., defendant Reed was allowed to carry her alcoholic drink out of CF McCarthy's after 6 drinks. She took that 7th one on the road. Come on, y'all. Jeez. On January 28th, on or about 10:54 p.m., JJ and defendant Reed entered the waterfall together. At all relevant times, Waterfall was licensed to distribute, sell, and serve alcohol. Defendant Reed walked into the Waterfall carrying a drink from CF McCarthy's. At all relevant times on January 29th, while at the Waterfall, defendant Reed showed signs of intoxication. Yes, she did. Between 10:54 and 11:54 on January 28, 2022, defendant Waterfall served Reed 1 shot and 1 mixed alcoholic drink. She had nearly 10 drinks, guys. Jeez. On the 29th, at approximately 12:10 a.m., defendant Reed left the Waterfall. At January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:11 a.m., JJ left. At all relevant times on January 29th, 2022, between 12:11 a.m. and 12:36 a.m., defendant Reed was under the influence of alcohol and unable to drive a motor vehicle safely. We covered this ad nauseum. And we had an 1.5-hour discussion about this, unable to drive a motor vehicle safely. I am not going to argue with you guys today. There is no way she had 11 drinks and she was able to drive a motor vehicle safely. I don't care what anybody says. I don't need to see evidence. And we saw the evidence either way. At all relevant times, January 29, 2022, defendant Reed drove JJ to the residence of 34 Fairview Road on Canton, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. I kind of want to skip all this because if they're going to get into Karen Reed hitting JJ, stop. And of course they are. As a result of Reed's SUV hitting JJ on January 29th, didn't happen, was knocked down onto the ground in front of 34 Fairview Road, suffered serious injury, and died. No, that's not what happened. So I'm going to skip all that BS and we'll go to some of the facts that we can actually verify. At all relevant times when the defendant Reed drove her SUV and hit JJ, didn't happen. Defendant Reed failed to use any care to avoid creating an unreasonable risk of harm to the public and JJ. That is actually true. She voluntarily took an obvious risk under the circumstances, knew or should have known that death or serious injury was reasonably predictable. That's also true. Persisted in a clearly negligent course of conduct over a noticeable period of time. Dang. Was impaired with reasonable precautions. Was deliberately inattentive to predictable hazards of her actions and or was deliberately inattentive when there was a risk of great and immediate danger. It's true. At all relevant times when the defendant Reed drove her SUV and hit JJ. Okay, well, no. Defendant Reed was reckless when she intended to risk the conduct that resulted. Okay, that didn't happen. So we're skipping it. I don't want to hear it. On January 29, 2022, at approximately 4:30 a.m., defendant Reed, here we go with Kaylee. Defendant Reed knew that she hit JJ with their SUV. Nevertheless, she woke up JJ's 14-year-old niece, Kaylee, and talked about JJ's death. Oh my! Talked about hitting JJ with her SUV and otherwise involved Kaylee in her frantic calls about JJ's death. This is definitely got to be traumatizing. And again, we got to think about Kaylee here. Can you imagine? And I mean, John unfortunately was dead. An adult calling you being drunk, frantic, or having drink, because y'all don't want me to say that she was drunk because we don't know, whatever. Calling a 14-year-old and just spazzing out and ranting about what happened to John, not knowing where John is. Like, grow up, Karen. Come on. At all relevant times on or about January 29, 2022, defendant Reed knew that Kaylee was a vulnerable minor who already lost her parents. I didn't even factor that in. Who already lost her parents tragically and depended on her custodial uncle JJ, who became her surrogate parent. That's tough. At or about 5:07 a.m. on January 29th, defendant Reed left the One Meadows Ave between 5:18 and 5:35. Defendant Reed knew JJ was seriously injured. I'm not doing this. On January 29th, defendant Reed admitted repeatedly that she hit JJ. That's not true. We're skipping over that. And again, I just wanted to focus on the Kaylee part because I think her driving intoxicated, possibly endangering the public and John, is going to be an issue with this civil lawsuit. Also, if Kaylee's going to testify again, which she did in the other trials, for a civil trial, it could be. Karen just needs to write the check. Just write that $5,000 check and be done with it. Count one. What do we have? The estate of John O'Keefe III versus all those other people. Well, this is C.F. McCarthy's wrongful death. Why is this directed at C.F. McCarthy's? Let's see. The estate repeats, realleges, and incorporates by reference as set forth here too in their entirety prior paragraphs of the complaint. Defendant C.F. McCarthy's negligently served alcohol to an intoxicated person. I agree. Namely, defendant Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, but he's dead. We're not talking about him. All right, please don't spam in the chat, TJ. Defendant knew or should have known that defendant Reed was intoxicated at relevant times of service on January 28, 2022. Defendant C.F. McCarthy violated Massachusetts dram shop laws, company safety policies, and was otherwise negligent for numerous reasons, including but not limited to its decision to not hire competent employees, letting Karen Reed walk out with the glass, its decision to not provide adequate personnel to work at C.F. McCarthy's at relevant times. Its decision, and this is probably in reference to somebody not checking them at the door. But I mean, if it's a Boston police officer, what are you gonna say? Hey, officer, chill out. Yikes. Its decision not to provide adequate safety training to its employees, staff, bartender, server. Its decision to violate its safety training. Its choice to retain unfit employees. Dang, they coming at the employees. Its choice to not supervise adequately its employees. The defendant, C.F. McCarthy's, acted not only with indifference to its legal duty not to serve intoxicated patrons, but also with utter forgetfulness of said duty. They acted in gross negligence. They acted with willful, wanton, and reckless disregard for safety. I agree with all of this. But this happens at bars all the time, which is sad, but I agree. They're right. They also continue to serve Karen Reed alcohol at relevant times when Reed was already intoxicated. As a direct and proximate result of C.F. McCarthy's negligence, gross negligence, and or willful wanton disregard for safety, JJ sustained serious injuries of body and mind. Okay, that's cap. That's not their fault. As direct proximate result of defendant C.F. McCarthy's negligence, gross negligence, and or willful wanton disregard for safety, JJ's next of kin suffered as well. Can't prove that. So now I'm not with you on that one. Count two. We'll skip ahead. The estate of John O'Keefe III versus the Waterfall and Bar and Grill Ltd. All right. Wrongful death. What do they say? Defendant Waterfall negligently served alcohol to an intoxicated person. They kept feeding Karen Reed drinks. So we're not going to go all through this because they're going to say the same thing. Count three. John O'Keefe versus Karen Reed. This is what I'm interested in. Plaintiff repeats, realleges, and okay, we know the prior paragraphs. We got it. On the date of the crash and at all relevant times, defendant Reed owed JJ and the public a large duty not to drive drunk. Agreed. To drive her vehicle safely and or with due care. On the date of the crash and at all relevant times, defendant Reed and JJ owed JJ and the public a large duty to pay attention to the roadway. I agree. And without being under the influence. On January 29th, Karen Reed also breached her duty of care to JJ by driving drunk, driving in an unsafe manner, and or without due care. I don't know that they can prove that she was driving in an unsafe manner. I guess they're saying the unsafe manner is her being intoxicated. So maybe they can't prove it. And then also they're saying JJ sustained serious injuries because of that. We don't know that. There was no crash. As directed by approximate, JJ's next of kin are entitled to JJ's lost value resulting from wrongful death. Such damages include, but are not limited to, reasonably expected society, companionship, comfort, guidance, counsel, net income, services, assistance, protection, care, and advice to the next of kin. Yeah, they lost the father figure. Right. They've also got Margaret O'Keefe versus C.F. McCarthy's negligent infliction of emotional distress. Margaret, what'd they do to you? Margaret O'Keefe learned of JJ's admission to the hospital immediately and came upon JJ's body at the hospital shortly thereafter. C.F. McCarthy's negligence caused the death of Margaret's son, JJ. What? Margaret suffered severe and profound emotional injuries manifesting in physical symptoms as the result of observing JJ at the hospital and witnessing the consequences of seeing. Okay, well, no, can't give you that one. Unfortunately. Negligent infliction of emotional distress from C.F. McCarthy's. I'm guessing it's the same thing here. John O'Keefe learned of JJ's admission. So that's his dad. Yep. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. Paul O'Keefe, because he learned that he was dead. We've got Peggy again, the waterfall, same thing. We've got John O'Keefe, the dad, same thing. We've got Paul O'Keefe again, same thing. Negligent and or reckless infliction of emotional distress. This is Peggy versus Karen Reed. Okay, this is interesting. Margaret O'Keefe learned of JJ's admission to the hospital immediately and came upon JJ's body at the hospital shortly thereafter. Defendant Reed's negligence caused the death of Margaret's son, JJ. Margaret suffered severe and profound emotional injuries manifesting in physical. Okay. Defendant Reed outrageously created a false narrative. All right, now. Margaret's emotional injuries, severe physical pain, anguish, emotional distress, and other harm were directly and or proximately caused by defendant Reed's negligence. A reasonable person in the same position as Margaret O'Keefe at the time of JJ's death would have suffered severe and profound emotional distress. Karen Reed defending herself. I don't know. Same thing for John Sr. Same thing for Paul. Karen Reed made them upset because she defended herself. Now, again, this is the one I'm focused on here, and this is the one I think Karen Reed may have to be responsible for. Kaylee versus Karen Reed, negligent, reckless, and or intentional infliction of emotional distress. Negligent and reckless. Karen Reed was definitely that. The plaintiff repeats, alleges, re-alleges. We're not going to read that again. At all relevant times, Kaylee was a niece of JJ. JJ was her guardian since her parents passed away. Kaylee learned of JJ's death or injury when the defendant Reed woke Kaylee up at approximately 4:30 a.m. on January 29th. Defendant Reed knew Kaylee was vulnerable, having already lost her parents at age 6. Dang. Nevertheless, in Kaylee's presence, defendant Reed spoke on speakerphone to various people between 4:30 and 5 a.m. on January 29, 2022. At relevant times on January 29, 2022, Kaylee heard defendant Reed say, JJ never came home. Maybe I did something. Maybe a snowplow hit him. Maybe I had hit him. Maybe I hit him. We were in an argument. Maybe he got hit by a snowplow. As a result of the conversations defendant Reed had in her presence, Kaylee perceived the injuries caused to her guardian, Uncle JJ, and perceived the injury producing event. At or about 5 a.m., after waking Kaylee up and informing her that something happened to JJ, defendant Reed left Kaylee home alone. Oh, man. Dang. Defendant Reed intentionally and or recklessly inflicted severe emotional distress when she woke up Kaylee and informed her that she hit her uncle. Okay, guys, stop. Or that a snowplow hit her uncle. Defendant Reed either intended to inflict emotional distress in Kaylee or knew or should have known that emotional distress was likely to result from defendant Reed's conduct. That is true. Defendant Reed's conduct was extreme and outrageous beyond the bounds of decency and utterly intolerable. Then, after JJ was declared dead, defendant Reed came to the family house and feigned concern. Rather, it became clear that defendant Reed was only there to collect her belongings and to take possession of the murder weapon. Talking about the car. The emotional distress suffered by Kaylee was severe in the nature that no reasonable person could be expected to endure. Defendant's extreme and outrageous conduct caused Kaylee aggravated emotional distress manifesting in physical symptoms. Kaylee also suffered severe and profound emotional injuries as the result of perceiving JJ's death and or injurious producing event, the consequences of Reed's negligence. The defendant Reed outrageously created a false narrative. Kaylee's emotional injuries, severe physical pain, anguish, emotional distress, and other harm were directly and or proximately caused by defendant Reed's actions. A reasonable person in the same position as Kaylee at all relevant times, including the time of JJ's death, would have suffered severe and profound emotional distress. Wherefore, plaintiff demands the judgment against the defendant Karen Reed on count 8 plus interest, costs, and any other relief or damages this court deems appropriate. There it is. We've got Mark Diller, Esquire. And this was filed in August. So interesting to see. When it comes to Karen and Kaylee, that's what I'm focusing on because there's zero evidence to show that Karen Reed was hit.
And so what we have ultimately
hit John O'Keefe with the car.
That there is no evidence.
There's just none. So with that being said, there is a lot of evidence to see that maybe Karen Reed caused emotional damage to Kaylee. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know what you think about that in the comments, in the chat. Is this something that that will stick? I think the waterfall is pretty easy to see that there's a lot of evidence they didn't do the right thing. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Shout out to the gang in here. I apologize, y'all. We went through that pretty quick, though. We're getting better. We're reading over here. I know we got a couple of super chats in here that I'm going to get to, and then we're going to keep it moving with this coverage because we got a lot to get into. Thank you to all 2,100 of y'all that are in here. We're going to get to Michael Proctor's interview shortly. It's coming up next, so y'all make sure you stick around for it. We've got Nosy Rosie in here, became a new member. Welcome to the member side, Nosy Rosie. Also, my guy, Mr. Brown, dropping the 2 bomb, just showing some love. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Always in here showing support. What is Amy saying in the chat? She says insurance policy covers OUI cases and wrongful death situations, but coverage can vary. While auto insurance policies generally cover accidents caused by drunk driving, including wrongful death claims, factors like the specific policy language, the extent of the coverage, and whether the driver's actions are deemed intentional misconduct can influence the outcome. Yeah. I wonder how that applies to the emotional damage, though. It's going to be tough to see. Sounds like BS and Jen McCabe is all over that, and Paul. Y'all know he isn't right. Right? Feel bad for the mother and father, but that's just too much. And listen, if Kaylee gets up there and testifies to what this lawsuit says, I think Karen most likely is going to be held accountable. So happy I caught this live. Thank you for being here. I mean, people cause emotional distress every day. Brian Higgins, Proctor's testimony caused me emotional distress. Can I sue them? Yo, that was rough, man. Proctor's, especially Proctor's. Proctor reading his text messages in that group chat, that was tough. Just the insurance companies would write a check. Yeah, just get it out of the way. No proof of accident, no case. Not necessarily, because we have the emotional damage in there as well. Higgins should be gone. Alberts probably ran him out. Kaylee was already at home alone, though. John O'Keefe left her alone to go to the bar. But yes, that doesn't justify Karen Reed calling her and being like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened to John. I don't know where he is. I think he might be dead. Ah, I'm wasted. Yeah, like, and then she's there by herself. I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to Amy for the 5 bomb. Dang, Amy stole my thunder. I was going to mention this. She said, also thanking everyone who has supported me. We hit 30K. Thank you, ClassE, for the love and support. Just wanted to thank the community. Yeah, if y'all haven't subscribed to Amy's channel, make sure you do that. The link is in the description. I'll also drop it in the chat for y'all shortly. Make sure you go subscribe. She just hit 30,000 subscribers. Super proud of Amy for all the work she puts in. And she has amazing content over there too. So if y'all haven't checked it out, I'm going to drop it in the chat. Y'all go hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and get her up to 40,000. All right. And I'm going to pin that in the chat as well. Super proud, Amy. Congratulations for hitting that milestone. Yeah, it's fun. Amy's got some great content over there too. It's content you could sit there and just watch the videos all day. So I'm not going to tell y'all what it is. Just make sure you go check it out. All right. I sub to our beautiful Amy. Shout out to Nosy Rosie. I do not think Peggy deserves anything, not to be mean. Well, their premise is that Karen Reed hit John. And if that's the premise you're going on, then you ain't getting nothing. But it sounds like what they're saying is by allowing Karen Reed and really John O'Keefe to leave the bar after they've had that many drinks, that's negligence in and of itself. And that to me would be true. The bar, they should know better. If you're serving someone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drinks at one location, the waterfall, I don't know about that. I don't think there's anything that shows Karen Reed was intoxicated, and they served her, what did they say? 2 drinks, a mixed drink and a cocktail or something like that. So I don't know that the waterfall, but CF McCarthy's, they dropped the ball on this one. Emotional distress has to be proven with the medical record evidence that new damage/diagnosis occurred as a result of Karen's actions. I don't think they have a case unless Bev is the judge. Well, we also didn't get to look at the transcripts from Kaylee's testimony. Obviously, she was a minor. They didn't show her on camera. So I'll be interested to see what Kaylee's testimony was during this trial, because we didn't even talk about it because they didn't show it. Amy says in a wrongful death case, emotional damage refers to the compensation awarded to surviving family members for the profound psychological and emotional pain they experienced due to the loss of their loved one. And this happened to Kaylee and Patrick twice. Dang. These damages cover grief, sorrow, mental anguish, and other emotional distress resulting from death. Yeah. Karen might need to give him a little something. Shout out to Red Bunny Classic in the building. Says for the love of the game. Shout out to my guy, lead attorney. That's a win for Karen. And thank you for that, Red Bunny Classic. No question, no comment. Just for the love of the game. Mental anguish, Amy says, is the psychological torment and suffering experienced by family members, anxiety and depression. The emotional distress can lead to anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Yes. And again, it all seems to be based on the person themselves. Are you feeling this way? Yes. Okay, well, there it is. Are you feeling upset? Do you wake up crying at night, thinking about the night John died? Do you find yourself throughout the day upset, crying, having PTSD, thinking when you get a phone call, you think it's going to be someone telling you some bad news? Yeah, it's tough. We've got Amy Smith in here with the 5 bomb. Says if they want to sue the people who had the dead body on the lawn and rehouse their dog, replace the basement floor, and sold their home. Shout out to Amy Smith. Nope, that's their friends. They're not going to sue their friends, but they can't stand Karen Reed. And I mean, if they sue the waterfall, they're going to be up there again anyway. So it's not a big deal. It'll be like, hey guys, you know, no hard feelings, but John's dead. Karen just ain't winning any popularity contest. That's a fact. Obviously, I think that's the real deal here. Yep. Does anyone in the chat know who is representing Karen Read in the civil case? That is a great question. That's a great question. I don't know. Let me see if we can find that out. Let's do a little bit of research live, and then we'll get into Michael Proctor's interview over at ABC on 2020. Let's see. Who is representing Karen Read in the civil lawsuit? I don't know if we know yet. Probably Alessi, you said. So, in the wrongful death suit filed by John O'Keefe's family last year, Karen Read is being represented by 3 attorneys from Boston's Melnick and Porter firm in Plymouth Superior Court. We have Christopher D. George, there he is, William L. Cavill Jr., okay, and Marissa Palladini. Sounds Italian. There you go. It is not Alessi. So we've got George, Kelville, and Palladini. Let me see if I can copy this and put it in the chat for y'all. There we go. We've got George, and Amy's typing it too. We've got George. We've got Kelville Jr. And then we've got Marissa, excuse me. There y'all go. All right, thank you. That's a great question to ask. All right, if y'all are ready, let's go ahead and get into this roast session. I'm going to try, guys, listen, I'm going to try and do my best not to interrupt this interview. But Michael Proctor is about to get up here and just spew some more BS and more nonsense. I'm going to try and restrain myself, especially if you haven't seen this yet. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what Michael Proctor had to say during this 2020 interview. Oh, man, this is going to be tough.
How would you sum up the prosecution's case?
One word.
Unjust.
The prosecution rests without ever calling Michael Proctor to the stand. And while the jury will not get to hear from him, you will. He's sitting down exclusively with 2020.
Oh, no, can y'all not see?
Let's get you home.
Okay, now you guys can see. This is a, hold on a second. I think I might not be able to show this. Well, that's gonna stink if I can't show it. Can y'all see this on the screen? Let me see. Hold on a second. You said no, you can't see it. It might be because I'm playing it on Hulu and they might not show it. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I can figure this out. Let me see if I can. So we can see that. And I know y'all can't hear anything because the commercial's playing. Give me 1 second. Let me see. We can hear commercial so far. It's commercial. Proctor hearing is fine. Oh no, so y'all might not be able to see it. So what I'm going to have to do, we're going to have to improvise here. And let me see. We still got more. I might just have to have a video of Proctor's testimony playing if y'all don't see it, because I think Hulu has it set up. So if you're using a streaming service, then it won't show up. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try and see if I can figure this out for you guys. There we go.
The murder mystery just outside of Boston sparking some explosive accusations against law enforcement.
Do you think Proctor will testify, Karen?
I don't believe so.
Can't get any worse.
The lead investigator on this case, Michael Proctor, did not take the stand this time around. His highly offensive text messages about Karen Read, which were obtained from his personal cell phone during a federal investigation, they rocked that first trial.
She's a whack job. Yes, she's a babe.
All right, here's what we're going to do, guys. Unfortunately, it's looking like we won't be able to show it. So what I'm going to do, just so we have a visual, I'm going to play the audio from 2020. and then we'll just have this playing so y'all can remember and see his beautiful face. All right, here we go. So here we go. Let's try this again and see if we could do it this way.
Not get to hear from him?
There we go.
You will. He's sitting down exclusively with 2020.
Let's get you home.
Here we go. So let's try that again. And we'll skip ahead. He said, we don't want to look at him while he was going to be in the interview. Here we go. I'm going to try and do it this way. The 2020 interview is on YouTube too. I don't think they have the full interview though. Give me 1 second. Yeah, they don't have the full interview. His face is swole. Yep. Nightline, YouTube. Nope. No, the stream is good. Y'all should be good. Let me make sure that you guys can see. Yep, you can see that there, and you'll be able to hear here in a second. Okay. Just play the audio. Yeah, I'm gonna play the audio. I have it, but because I'm using a streaming software, I guess they have the video set up so you guys won't be able to actually see it. YouTube is the short version. Yeah. He gained a lot of weight. He said. Nightline YouTube has it. Okay, let me see if I can. I'll double check Nightline. We're gonna figure it out, guys.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
All right, here we go. You said Nightline? I doubt they have the entire interview though. Nightline. No. All right, here we go. We're going to do it this way, guys. We figured it out. We're going to pivot a little bit. Finally. All right, let's check out this interview from Proctor.
The murder mystery just outside of Boston, sparking some explosive accusations against law enforcement.
Do you think Proctor will testify, Karen?
I don't believe so.
Can't get any worse.
The lead investigator on this case, Michael Proctor, did not take the stand this time around. His highly offensive text messages about Karen Reed, which were obtained from his personal cell phone during a federal investigation, they rocked that first trial.
She's a whack job. Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
You know what
no
they
ass.
bleeped out
no
there.
nude so far. She's gross.
During the retrial, the defense once again accuses him of running a biased investigation.
You'll learn there's not a single part of this case, folks, not a single part, that he didn't touch, that he didn't direct, that he didn't orchestrate personally. Michael Proctor went far beyond just insulting Karen Reed. He dehumanized this woman.
And while the prosecution condemns Proctor's text messages, they stand firmly by the investigation.
There's not one piece of evidence, not one, that we can look at and say, this was tampered with. This was...
This is the guy that said, in case y'all couldn't tell, that's your guy, Pee Wee, as you call him, Brennan over there, saying that there's no evidence that this investigation was tampered with. You mean this guy riding around with evidence in his car for 30 plus days before submitting it to the lab? That alone, this guy, oh my God.
Planted. This was distorted.
Within hours of that first trial ending, Michael Proctor was relieved of duty by the Massachusetts State Police. He was later fired. He sat down for an exclusive interview with us and addressed those text messages, some of which were sent to personal contacts outside of law enforcement.
Nasty word.
Who are you writing to? My good buddies that I've been friends with since first grade. Canton hasn't had a homicide in about 20 years. So they're naturally interested. Just regrettable messages. But in all the content and the messages, what you don't see is a conspiracy.
What do you see?
I see someone who's caught up in the moment of investigating, a fellow police officer and just saying inappropriate things.
Can you see why people called you sexist and misogynist?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could 100% understand why.
As those text messages are entered into evidence, Prosecutors begin to address the defense's claims of bias, and they ask Proctor about the integrity of his investigation when he takes a stand in the first trial.
What, if any, impact did that have as far as your investigation was concerned?
These juvenile, unprofessional comments have zero impact on the facts and the evidence and the integrity of this investigation.
I mean, I think one of the texts that you sent about Karen Reed is that you said, hopefully she kills herself. You texted this to your sister. And that seems incredibly unprofessional for a homicide investigator speaking about his suspect.
Yeah, and it seems like someone who has a bias, an ulterior motive maybe. Come on.
It was made in jest. You know, it's a figure of speech. Hopefully she kills herself like that. Not literally.
That's a figure of speech?
Yes.
Do you?
Guys, I said I was going to try not to interrupt. Who is this guy? I just say that. Me and my sister used to say it all the time. She'd throw a sock in my room on the floor and I'd say, hey, I hope you kill yourself. What? This guy is crazy.
You use that commonly?
Insane.
Not commonly, but it's a figure of speech I made in like jest. It wasn't like literally, I hope she kills herself.
At what point did you develop such strong negative feelings about Karen Reed that you would say things like, hopefully she kills herself, or calling her the C word?
Those feelings developed as the case went on.
I mean, can you see how people might think, he was caught in this instance?
Those feelings developed less than 24 hours after he started investigating into the case. So come on, dude, don't act like it was 2-3 days later and you said, you know this, you know what? I hope she kills herself. Oh yeah, they're gonna get her for everything. She's got no. All right.
Speaking about a suspect in this way, maybe it's happened in other cases as well.
I 100% understand why people would think that. But when you have,
this is garbage.
A fellow police officer around my age, 2 kids of his own, it generates an emotion. And I expressed those emotions in a negative way, which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't even, been texting my friends anything.
Some of his texts were with colleagues,
you, Michael.
including 2 superiors.
Okay.
When we first got into her phone, the number one thing I wanted to review was location data, text messages. And when we got into the phone, I texted the guys at work, our work chain, that joke. No nude so far, guys.
You're talking about completely inappropriate text messages that show a complete bias in the investigation.
Oh my God.
And Proctor is
and a lot of you probably know that voice. That's Vinny from over at Court TV.
Sending these to his supervisors, and he's not being admonished for it. Like, what's going on here? Is this business as usual? Is this being adopted and accepted by other members of law enforcement?
Does the bias of one investigator or the exhibited bias, does that compromise an entire investigation? No. But could that bias have led to additional mistakes? That's the jury's job to figure out.
Yes.
Can you see how the impropriety of the text messages opens the door for the defense's allegations that there was some sort of conspiracy and cover-up here?
Well, here's the part before Proctor so eloquently answers, right? Here's the problem with that. Take the text messages completely out of it, right? If we take the text messages out of this entire trial, what Proctor did and how he handled the investigation was wrong. It looked dirty. It looked nasty. Why didn't you submit the evidence to the lab? Why are you and Gallagher collecting this evidence in solo cups? Why are you having conversations with your sister about an ongoing investigation? It's just, come on, man. I don't know how you justify this.
That's the jury's job to figure out.
Can you see how the impropriety of the text messages opens the door for the defense's allegations that there was some sort of conspiracy and cover-up here?
There's no evidence because
why didn't they check the house?
I spent 2 days on the stand. That was Alan Jackson's opportunity to bring that up and question me on it.
Specifically asking you whether you planted evidence.
Yeah, not one question.
Boston has a history of police and law enforcement corruption.
Yeah.
What's he? Boston has a history of police corruption. Yeah. Alan Jackson could have asked me about it. And you know what I would have said? Alan Jackson, how could you? I conducted this investigation with integrity. Of course I didn't plant evidence. What a waste of time. Dude, get out of here, man.
Jackson's opportunity to bring that up and question me on it.
Specifically asking you whether you planted evidence.
Yeah, not one question.
Boston has a history of police and law enforcement corruption.
Yeah, that I agree with. Not in this case. Didn't happen here.
So why would it be so unreasonable for people to think, well, it's happened elsewhere and recently in Boston? Why couldn't it happen in Canton?
Clown.
They believe that the state police, multiple units within the state police, the Canton Police Department, about a dozen civilians are all in this conspiracy to frame a woman we don't know. And over the last 2.5, 3 years, not one person has said, wait a minute, I'm not going down for this. Here's what really happened.
You saw the lengths to which some police officers will go to protect their own at the expense of the rest of us.
Oh my gosh. This is a real interview, guys.
At the expense of Karen Reed.
This is a real interview.
Is there any part of the actual investigation that you would do over?
Because it's blowing up into this crazy so-called conspiracy, maybe I could have avoided it by, looking at other people's cars just to say we did it. There's some witnesses maybe we could have interviewed a little sooner. But overall, myself and every detective in that office
ring camera
worked this case like we always do. And so I wouldn't change anything.
Nothing?
No.
But things are about to change for Michael Proctor.
I just remember dropping on my knees and laying on my lawn, like crying.
Oh, he was crying. They're going to talk about the dishonorable discharge coming up next for Michael Proctor. Yo, this guy is crazy and delusional. For him to say, no, I wouldn't. The same thing Yuri said. We heard Yuri say the exact same thing. No, this investigation was conducted with honor. This investigation was conducted with integrity. We did our best when it comes to the investigation. We usually don't investigate the home where a dead body is found. That happens. We did it. We did the right thing there. We usually collect blood samples in red Solo cups. Wouldn't do anything different. I usually ride around with evidence for 5, 10, 20, 30 days in my car before submitting it to the lab. We edit videos sometimes, the Sallyport video. It's not a big deal. This is Boston PD, guys. This is what we do. No, I would not change one thing. The ring camera footage across the street, my guy Gallagher, he did what he had to do. So no, if there's one thing I would change, maybe I would have just looked at somebody else's car. Maybe, I would have just walked across the street and see if there were some fragments over there. What an absolute clown this guy is. No remorse at all. She says, oh, I'm sorry I sent those text messages. Jeez.
It's about supporting John's family and getting justice for John.
Michael Proctor.
Michael Proctor.
Michael Proctor.
Although Michael Proctor's name continues to reverberate throughout Karen Reed's retrial, Proctor himself retreats from the public eye.
Trooper Michael Proctor is relieved of duty effective immediately.
Suspended without pay.
Proctor is suspended without pay pending an internal investigation into his conduct.
I just remember dropping on my knees and laying on my lawn, like crying. I couldn't even talk. I was complete hysterics. And I just remember my mother being like, what? And I kind of gathered myself and I'm like, they relieved me of duty.
What was it like handing over your badge,
oh my
your gun,
God,
your cruiser?
I don't care.
What really got me was my union rep. He had to come over to my house and pick up all my uniforms. And the one time I broke down was putting my ClassE uniform. You go through a 6-month academy and you're very proud to put that uniform on.
He's crying, guys.
That's tough.
He's crying.
In March, the State Police Trial Board dishonorably discharges Michael Proctor on 2 charges, including unsatisfactory performance related to state police conduct standards.
I don't know any trooper that's been punished for personal text messages on their personal phone, let alone fired.
He's appealing the trial board's decision. A supervisor on one of Proctor's text chains
here goes
is
Yuri.
also disciplined for failure to counsel a subordinate during an investigation, and he loses 5 vacation days. The Massachusetts State Police say their disciplinary action
They're talking
is
about Yuri.
determined on a case-by-case basis.
People in every job do and say stupid things. They're human beings. They make mistakes. But we have to expect a higher degree of professionalism from a lead investigator in a case like this.
With the second trial underway, public fascination accelerates and the trial takes on a life of its own.
The public interest has actually grown for the retrial. First time around, people heard about the case. Second time around, people know the case.
So yeah, and we actually tried to avoid that here. But hey, shout out to our poor guy, Michael Proctor. Y'all feel bad for him? He took his uniforms. He took his uniforms because of some text messages. What? No, dude. It's you talk to your sister about an ongoing investigation. What's wrong with you? Let me know what y'all think about this clown in the comments and in the chat. Wow. I got to read some of y'all's comments about this, man. A shout out to all 2,300 of you that are in the building. Thank you to the 1,500 of you that have liked the video. Wow. If y'all could take a second and like the video. It's free, guys. It takes less than a second. So I know there's nearly 2,500 of you in the building. Please like the video. I beg for likes like crazy. All right. Y'all got to like the video. Proctor shouldn't even be a mall cop. That's crazy. Let me read a couple of these super chats and I want to see how y'all feel about this in the comments. A shout out to Christine B. Dropping the 20 bomb, says, "You're amazing. Thank you." I'm trying up here, Christine. Yo, this man, I can't believe he cried. If y'all haven't watched it, make sure if you don't have Hulu, you can go over and watch it on Hulu. But this guy is a straight menace. I can't believe he was up there crying. What a clown this guy is. Y'all said Proctor is a joke and deserves everything he has. Weird how the unemployed are discussing what career fields he should be in. I'm so mad. I just realized I wasn't breathing because I was holding my breath because I was so mad. Does he really think we should feel sorry for him? He made a mistake. He sent some text messages. Oh man, shout out to CPE with the 5 bomb, says Karen is free. That's right. We got my guy Mr. Brown with the hot dog. Oh man, Mr. Brown's ready for lunch. Thank you, sir. Kevin Albert left his service weapon in Proctor's cruiser after a night of drinking. That's crazy. Good morning to those of y'all just tuning in. He didn't see Karen drop to her knees. We didn't see Karen drop to her knees when you arrested her and mocked her right afterwards. Not surprised you cried. You went along with the corruption. He was a big part of it. Yeah, he talked to his sister about the case and told them to get his wife a present. She deserved it more. Yuri isn't sorry either. What a bad boss. Yuri said he stands on the fact that Michael Proctor conducted this investigation with honor and integrity. Yuri said that on the stand. You can't. Come on, man. Come on. They buried Proctor's uniforms. They probably burned it. What is it called on Hulu? It is called Karen Reed, The Verdict 2020. And it's season 47, episode 30. All right. Oh, no. I take that back. It's season 47, episode 31 on Hulu. Yuri is a stalker and a harasser. Karen probably does not have insurance to cover any court penalties. Well, she's not going to be held liable for the entire $50,000 or whatever cost is incurred because of that. 2020 is still a thing. Wow. Blast from the past for sure. Also, what else are y'all saying in here? Man, I need to go back further as we were watching it. Where did these investigators get their degrees in law enforcement? Law enforcement. Yeah, I think I got it right that time. There's another court case with the partner giving testimony. It's like a totally different person. If you watch it, You would say he's a good cop. Then, and Karen Reed can't answer the question straight. That's what happens when you're not telling the truth. Shout out to Not the FBI says, that tells me that Morrissey knew he needed to hide their involvement, which means they're involved in something much bigger. Rumor is it's illegal activity out of D&E Pizza that involves most MSPD. Wow. So they're protecting the pizza place. Can we get that in the movie? I'll watch it. Justice for John O'Keefe. Amen to that. Amen to that. Dang. Shout out to Derek in here. Derek, I appreciate you. Derek Crossing with the super sticker. Thank you, sir, for the pounds. I appreciate you. She might be held liable. They'll want to bleed her dry. For the whole fit, I don't think she'll be held solely liable. But for the emotional distress, I could see Karen Reed being held accountable or liable for that. If I was charged with murder, I would be in jail because I would not have the money to defend myself. Oh, that's unjust. Talk about it, Bow Wow. Bow Wow starts a GoFundMe today. Ain't nobody supporting that thing. They'll be like, who? Who is this? Who's this guy with the GoFundMe to try and defend himself? He probably did it. Let him go. He better not be black. Yep. Brian Walsh case. OJ Simpson was found not guilty too. That is true. These cops have their wives and families snowed. I really want Karen to be careful with any deal she does. Any money that comes from that can go towards any damages. Amy says, you already know how I feel about the clown I posted on X. Shout out to Amy. Also, thank you for this next super chat. Shout out to Ida in here. Says, with the 5 bomb, Proctor crying in his napkin, disgusting human. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for the support. You did not have to do that, Ida. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for that. Blake Lively to play Karen Reed. Now that would be interesting. Blake Lively to play Karen Reed. Blake crashing out in court cases. She needs a good movie role. Oh man. Slim Light says, did you post the receipts on X? Oh, I was going in on them folks yesterday. I had the receipts. I was going back and forth with someone for a while about them being wrong about the verdict. We called it, guys. We called it here on the channel. We knew exactly how it was going to go, and it went down that way. Her legal team will most likely appeal the DUI conviction. Interesting. If they get that overturned, she can sue them for a malicious prosecution. That's some great insight there. I think she earned it. I think she deserves it. And I think it would be a waste of time to appeal that, to be honest. There's just too much. There's too much evidence there. Karen Reed, take it on the chin. Change your life. Don't waste it. Just move on. Stay out of this court system. Just stay out. Oh, man. You caught me last night, but I got it right this morning. Like the video. Thank you, Don. Appreciate you. She got him anyway. Proctor for sure gets it. He's just lying. Who is playing? I almost read that out loud. Taco Tuesday. Dang, you almost got me. Karen should sue Proctor, Higgins, Alberts, and the McCabe's. I could see Sandra Bullock. Yeah, for sure. I think Karen Reed should sue. She needs to sue somebody. If I could talk, I would say it. Sandra Bullock, I think, would be good too. Taco Tuesday, man. I think Jennifer Aniston would make a good Karen. They are close in age. Jennifer Aniston, I could see that. That's a good one. She was Section 12 after the event would be distinct. I think if I were Karen, I put everything in my mama's name so they can't get anything. Well, I think it's a little too late to do that now. The reason the feds got involved is that they are already investigating Morrissey. Uh-oh. Hank was trying badly to get any information from Aka during the trial. Major fail. Man, Hank embarrassed himself. I could not believe the way they rested their case. Absolutely embarrassing, man. It seemed like he had given up at that point. And then cross-examination was even worse. Every cross-examination he had of the defense's witnesses was bad. Karen's civil rights and constitutional rights have been trampled on. This is not going away. Not to mention, there were a lot of people who were pushing for and saying this never should have happened because of double jeopardy. And if the jury had been informed the way they should have the first trial, we might not even be here today. Rico for Cannon Police would be nice. Yeah, call Fannie Willis. She might do it. RD says ClassE to play Officer Token. I know it's a woman, but it's 2025 and we're changing characters and their appearances in other movies. So anyways, oh man, y'all still mad about The Little Mermaid? Dang. I'm not playing Officer Token. There's too many other people that could play it. Get what's her name? What's her name to play Officer Token? I can't think of it. Oh my gosh. The one from Power, the one that plays Cookie on Power. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into our next topic because we are not done. Y'all know we had a full show for you today. So we've got to listen to, we're going to hear some more from the other side of this entire Karen Reed trial here. All right. Did I read that last super chat? Did I read that super chat? Oh, yeah. Shout out to Keep It Moving from New York. I did read your super chat. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get into this. I should not pause her like that. I apologize, but it is what it is. So Court TV doing their thing. They had to bring in some of John O'Keefe's family members and friends. So what we have here is an interview from Court TV of John O'Keefe's cousin and his friend as well. So we're not going to watch the whole thing. I'll leave the link to this video in the description below. I'll be interested to know what y'all think about this take from the cousin and the friend.
What we want to do right now is take some time to remember what this case is really about. The beautiful life that was lost, the life that belonged to Officer John O'Keefe. He was a son, he was a brother, he was an uncle, he was dad to his niece and nephew. He was a dear friend to so many people. And I'm so honored to have with me on the show this morning two people who love him dearly and miss him dearly. And they're hoping for justice in this case. I want to welcome on now John's dear friend, Jackie Dugal, and his cousin, Renee Resitano. Good morning to you both. And Jackie, I know you and I have met before. You've come on the show before. Renee, this is the first time that you and I are meeting, so I want to start just saying, person to person, I know you're John's cousin. I am so sorry for your loss. I know this has been really tough for you all. Jackie and I have spoken about it. And so let's start there. Let's start with what it's like missing him for you ladies, what it's like missing John and the void that him being gone has left in your hearts. Jackie, would you start us off, please?
I just think that the start of this verdict watch really puts things in perspective. You know, every day we kind of go into what's happening in court today, but now that it's over, we start to think about him again in this way that we were unable to during the trial. And it's just such an emotional day, emotional feeling for it to be in the hands of the 12 jurors. And, you're here and we're putting up pictures. His friends have printed out pictures and put them on all the tables. And it's really about remembering him and hoping for justice.
Oh, that's so sweet. So you're at a local VFW there in Dedham with pictures of John all over the table so that everyone can look at him and remember him as you were all together hoping and praying for justice. That's a beautiful thing to be together at such a stressful time. Renee, what's it been like for you? What's it been like missing your cousin John?
I mean, the void is just unimaginable, but I'm just going to say what Jackie said. I think it's just really nice for us all to be together and just to go back on those moments of who he was and as a person and remembering those like funny moments. I mean, me and a couple of my cousins were just talking this morning how much like his jokes that we miss, his laughter we miss. And it's a shame that he's not here with us.
Right. From what I've heard, Renee, he was funny. He was so funny. That's what Jackie and some other dear friends of John's had shared with us on the program sometime.
And thank y'all for this insight in the chat too. Jackie Dugall is the wife of Carl Dugall, detective in the Boston PD, who had a bad record and lawsuits against him. He is not well liked in the BPD. Uh-oh.
Time ago. And when you think about his spirit, tell me, what would be going on in his life right now? If he were alive today and still living life, Renee, what do you think he would be up to? What do you think he would be doing? What do you think some of his goals would be if he were still here?
Oh, boy.
I mean, that I can only imagine, but I know he would be very excited for Patrick just to graduate 8th grade today. Haley going to Virginia prom last couple weeks ago. I know he would be very involved with them. And just making sure that we're all, together. Like,
He playing golf.
Playing golf. Yeah.
His dad and brother and all the tournaments, and he loved that. And, just the light of his life for those, those kids, and they're doing so great and really moving forward in their lives. And, they miss him a ton. I know, unimaginable loss. And, he'd be there with them and being the fun uncle and big support for him and for the whole family.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Jackie, we've spoken about this before, and I think it's definitely worth revisiting for anybody who missed the segment when you were on before. John's legacy, his life and his legacy as someone so close to him. You've been a dear friend for such a long time.
Right,
about going through this process of getting justice for John. Jackie, to you first, please.
A loaded question. I think there's so many different aspects of it, even just going today and the crowd of people there, and you have to walk through, and coming back here even, and just stepping here where we were last year. It's a weird emotional feeling, and we're just glad we're all together for it. We've made, I honestly, one of the silver linings is that, I know John's family a lot deeper now, and they're all so wonderful, and they all miss him so much. And I'm just happy to be here to support them. Whatever
so they can't even answer what
they need.
miss.
It's there's a lot, but it's all worth it if we're here together and in support of justice.
Mm-hmm. You have each other. You're leaning on each other. And we want to hear your answer, Renee. I'm being told we need to hit a break. If you can stay with us, and on the other side, I want to ask you, please, what's been the most difficult part going through the trial process as we continue on the verdict watch today here together? We'll be right back as we continue.
All right. And we did there wasn't an official statement from John O'Keefe's family. I mean, they weren't saying much. They seemed like they're really the only ones who wanted to say anything. But I'm trying to see if I could find a statement from his family. Here we go. John O'Keefe's, it was a joint statement. We've got the McCabe, the Albert family, and the Roberts family. They said this. So family and friends. They said, today, our hearts are with John and the entire O'Keefe family. They have suffered through so much and deserved better from our justice system. Oh, man. Yeesh. Again, this is from the McCabe's and the Alberts. While we may have more to say in the future, today we mourn with John's family and lament the cruel reality that this prosecution was infected by lies and conspiracy theories spread by Karen Reed, her defense team, and some in the media. The result is a devastating miscarriage of justice. Boy, that's a loaded statement there. And I think saying that because you don't get the verdict you want that's the miscarriage of justice. The jury saw the evidence just like we did here on this channel. We watched every single day. We saw every piece of evidence. Actually, they got to hear a little bit more than we did because there's certain testimony we didn't get to hear. But at the end of the day, they saw the case that the Commonwealth presented. They saw the case that the defense presented. And they looked at the evidence. And the evidence clearly did not show that Karen Reed was the one who hit John O'Keefe. And it's unfortunate because now you've got the McCabe's and the Albert family saying that, oh, well, the only reason that this turned out this way is because the conspiracy theories. The only reason we had this verdict is because people just wanted to believe what they want to believe. Now it's because there wasn't evidence in the case. There wasn't evidence to show that John was even hit. Every single medical professional that took the stand, whether it's for the Commonwealth or for the defense, said, we see no injuries consistent with the collision. And then you want us to believe this man was hit in his arm, someone backing down the driveway at 24 miles an hour, and somehow just fell straight back and hit his head. Guys, come on, guys. We're better than this. We're smarter than this. Thankfully, the jury was able to see that, and the Commonwealth should have presented a better case, because seeing this for the first time as someone who saw only the second trial, not the first trial, this is absolute garbage. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. Oh, man. This is tough. Shout out to y'all for showing love, too. We still got over 2,300 of y'all in the building. My goodness. And 2,000 of you have liked the video. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for liking the video. Likes are free. It is such a help to the channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We got a couple of super chats, and then we're going to get into our next topic. We've got, oh, shout out to Deborah Rose is in here, became a gold member. Thank you for becoming a gold member, Deborah Rose. And I need to double check over here and make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we got them. Let me see what y'all are saying in here. Ain't nobody listening to Snaggletooth Jen. No, Julie Grant, please. Y'all aren't rocking with Julie? Boy, Julie got this wrong. She got this wrong. I told Amy to check your PayPal. Oh, okay. Shout out to Slim Life, sent something over on the PayPal. I will check it right now. Let me see. Slim Life in here. Shout out to Slim Life. She sent, oh, there it is. Slim Life dropped the 10 bomb in the building. Said, thank you for all your coverage always. I'm blessed to be a part of this amazing family. Y'all are the best. Thanks for making my day better. Thank you for the support, Slim Life. Thank you for being here. You had not missed a day of this trial and have been showing so much love. So thank you for being here. And shout out to the gang. All of y'all have been supporting, because we've got my guy, Jay Buckmaster, in the building. He also dropped the 30 bomb over on PayPal. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Jay Buckmaster. Thank you for the support. He didn't even leave a comment. He was just showing love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Jay's been in here too. I know he can't always comment, but he'd be over there ninja watching in the bushes like Viverito. Did you leave from Court TV? This is insufferable. We're done with Court TV, guys. Dang. I had one more Karen Reed thing I was going to cover, but I think we might save that for tomorrow, because we got to talk about Brian. I need to make sure that we get into Brian before we end the live stream today. As many of you know, Karen Reed is over, and we're going to be covering some more trials coming up. And we have the Brian Kohberger trial that is going to be starting soon. Don't know the dates. And guys, I don't even know what happened in this trial. We're going to find out together. So if you already know the story, I want to see y'all active in the chat, giving some background, giving some more information from what we're going to hear and watch, because we're going to check out this mini documentary that was done by the CW and see the full story of what the news and what the media is reporting here in a second. We got one person saying free Brian Kohberger. That is not what I'm hearing in general. So I'll be interested to know what y'all's takes are on this. Shout out to Elizabeth up in here with the 5 bomb. Thank you for the love, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lisa said he's innocent. Oh, okay. Paula I said, I watched this last night. What else are we saying? Ooh. Oh, I'm going to leave. I don't want to know anything about BK. I want to be the 13th juror on this one. See you tomorrow. Oh, Nosy Rosie, don't leave. Come on, we can look at it together. We're just going to find out what we know right now, which again, the jurors would know this as well. So anyone who's on the jury, they'd be able to watch this and see this themselves. So didn't Brian Kohberger kill like 3 ladies? I don't know. Exactly. You don't know her and you talk all that ish about her. Oh, okay. You must not be talking to me. I don't talk ish about people. except Proctor. Let me see. You were spot on. I just turned into your channel. Thank you for being here, Christine. Appreciate you. I will be tainted. No, you stop it. No, you won't. Nosy Rosie, you're not allowed to leave. Nosy Rosie, you cannot leave. You got to watch this with us. We're a family here. Okay, we're going to find out. A BK, I have no interest. Okay. Let's see. He has been accused and charged, but has not yet been found guilty or not guilty. That is true. Brian K is innocent. No way one man can unalive 4 young, healthy people. All right, we're going to find out. It seems like y'all feel pretty strongly about this. So let me change the headline here and we'll find out and figure out for ourselves what is going on with Brian. What is up with Brian Kohberger? All right, hopefully I'm saying Brian's name right, but Brian Kohberger, we're going to get the full story. I don't think we're going to watch this entire documentary, but I want to highlight some of the issues and what we already know about the case. Again, I'm joining this case brand new. I have no idea what the charges are. I know some of you mentioned in the comments in the chat that it's alleged that he took the life of some people. So we're going to find out exactly what happened here. I'll leave the link to this video in the descriptions for you guys in case you want to watch the whole thing. Here we go.
Different parties.
Ethan had gone to a fraternity formal with his twin sister as his date and met back up with Zaina at a fraternity party. Maddie and Kaylee were at a bar called the Corner Club.
Okay, so we got Zaina and Ethan,
Maddie and Kaylee met up with Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack. He and Kaylee had been dating for their entire tenure at the University of Idaho, and they had recently broken up.
After the girls were at the Corner Club, Kaylee and Maddie went to the grub truck, just like a food truck.
Okay, we got some surveillance video. This is good.
Then they got a ride home.
Zaina and Ethan came home around the same time as Maddie and Kaylee.
When everyone was back home at the house on King Road, they all chatted for a bit, and then they went to their various bedrooms.
He said the dog was freaking out and the basement roommate was just yelling, STFU. I know what it stands for. I'm just not going to say it. Instead of going to see what the problem was, reportedly. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Kaylee and Madison went up to the 3rd floor and they settled down together in Maddie's bedroom, while Kaylee's dog Murphy stayed in Kaylee's bedroom, which was across the hall. Zaina and Ethan retired to Xana's room on the 2nd floor, while Dylan went to her room, which was down the hall from that.
It's a big house.
Meanwhile, Bethany went to sleep in her bedroom, and that was on the basement level.
One thing that we know is that Kaylee and Maddie called Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack, several times, but he never picked up. It just went straight to voicemail. The other thing that we do know is that Zaina ordered food and it was delivered to the house around 4 a.m.
Oh my.
That was the last contact the housemates had with the outside world. And when the news broke the very next day, it shocked everyone who heard it.
The small town of Moscow, Idaho remains on edge tonight following the brutal killings of 4 University of Idaho students. Ethan Chapin, Haley Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogan violently attacked inside a rental house near campus early Sunday morning.
It's tough.
From the moment that this story broke, I knew that this was going to be one of the biggest crime stories that I'd ever covered.
Authorities confirm evidence was found on multiple floors. Carnage so severe, photos appear to show blood seeping from the crime scene to the exterior foundation of the home.
Just the basic facts of this case were jaw-dropping. The fact that it was so random and so savage. The fact that there were 4 students murdered. The fact that 2 people survived, and yet no one had any idea who could have done this.
We are continuing to track breaking news out of Moscow, Idaho. It started with a call to the Moscow Police Department just before noon.
House right here is where police found 4 bodies. People were found dead.
This is a very much developing situation.
I remember heading to the airport, boarding a flight for Idaho, and in that moment, it felt like everyone knew that this was going to be a huge story.
Everything about this case was thought-provoking and eye-catching from word go. These young people's lives played out on social media. But I'll tell you, those images, the beauty of our victims, their vibrant smiles, may very well have been what did them in.
When I arrived on the ground in Moscow, I remember right away there was a lot of confusion. Can you tell us what you were looking for? The cops said the murders at King Road occurred sometime after 4 a.m. on the morning of November 13th, 2022.
Like
but the two surviving roommates, Dylan and Bethany, who may have been sleeping in their bedrooms at the time of the attack, they didn't call 911 until sometime around 12 noon the next day, which is 8 hours later.
The next morning, Dylan and Bethany find their housemates, and allegedly their first phone call was to their friends. So other students, the victim's peers, are coming to the house and seeing what's going on before police even get there.
That's weird.
There's been some speculation as to how the call came in, but it's listed as an unresponsive individual in the house.
Yeah, that's super strange.
Finally, police arrive to find the most horrifying crime scene they've ever witnessed.
The affidavit describes their injuries in great detail.
Dang.
If you've ever seen injuries like that, there's no mistaking them. A knife can do horrific things to a human body.
My phone buzzes me, and it's a text from our city supervisor that says that there's been a murder in town that's involved 4 university students. We have a major situation on our hands, and it became a very major story quickly. And for a person who'd been hoping that his mayoral tenure would feature 4 years of quietude, that was blown right out of the water on the spot.
It's a very tragic and sad situation all around.
The 4 were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
This was the kind of thing that you only really think you're going to hear about in a murder
how do we get to Brian?
It didn't seem possible.
The unthinkable happened in this house behind me. 4 university students brutally murdered here. As soon as I got there, I could see that this was a crime that really, really frightened the students and the residents of the town. The killer was unknown at that point, and he was still on the loose.
I personally won't go out at night alone.
There's a lot of apartment buildings, houses, a lot of kids going to and from. And then you turn onto this road here, which is King Road. This is actually the road that the house is on. You look to the right here.
So how do we get to Brian? That's what I know. I'm being impatient, but where does Brian come in? Are y'all saying he was a door dasher or something? What is going on?
This is the house where the murders happened. Being on the ground and talking with folks every day, it was clear to me that the community was really feeling under siege from all of the outside attention. All of this really is a nightmare for this town, a nightmare that they just cannot wake up from.
Almost every corner around the university campus, there would be camera crews setting up for a shot. And it wasn't just from local affiliates. It was from Seattle. It was from California. It was from all over.
The news of this had gone right around the world almost overnight.
Wow.
All of this was so overwhelming for the families of the victims, and in the days after the murders, they gradually began to emerge to speak with the media about their lost loved ones.
Is there something you can tell us about Xana, the girl you knew?
Xana she was tough. She was strong. She was funny. She just couldn't make you smile. I think you can see from her TikToks.
If you could describe your daughter in a few words, how would you describe Maddie?
Just bright and funny and just fun. She had such a bright future ahead of her.
That's tough.
Tell us who your Ethan really was.
Yeah, he was a great kid.
Dang,
In our family, personally, he was kind of the
kid.
comedian.
You just live life.
You want everybody to be the beneficiary of Kaylee's life.
We try to raise our children not to be self-centered and to like sacrifice their lives and try to like help other people and find value in that. She was a very likable person and she didn't have a mean bone in her body.
As the families grieved, the scale of this quadruple homicide investigation, it grew larger and larger by the day.
All right, here we go. Now we're getting into it.
You're looking at a crime scene with multiple victims, multiple autopsies. That scene has to be processed. The neighborhood has to be canvassed for the cameras. Cell towers have to be dumped. And that's just the initial stages of this investigation. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's one of the biggest true crime pages on Facebook with about 227,000 members. And Christine Cameron and Alina Smith are the administrators.
Wow, really?
Christine Cameron and Alina Smith are two people who, if you have been following this case, you cannot ignore. They started the Facebook group, Idaho Murders Case Discussion Group.
Christine and I attended the same high school, and our biggest common factor was we just had this passion for true crime. Yeah, that's when I can tell if they're on.
A lot of people
And
do.
so
I'll
I was
find
like,
it
let's
out.
start some true crime pages on Facebook and just get our feet wet.
True crime used to be, a crime happens and then there's an arrest made. Well, because of social media, we have the opportunity to kind of see in real time what is happening. So, you have these armchair sleuths or detectives, so to speak, and they want to be a part of it.
Christine and I have not made any money. We had the option to turn it into a monetizing page, and we didn't because we don't want to benefit off of a crime.
With our other pages, it was just a pastime. Like we'd set up a page and I have my role and Alina has her role.
We had all these other pages, and I think 6,000 members was a good number. I mean, if we got 6,000, we were like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, this is rough, man.
When the University of Idaho happened, it was almost overnight. It just went from a fun pastime to like a full-time job. At the end of the first day, we had almost 17,000 people on the page.
And then 2 weeks after that, we were already at 80,000. That's how quickly the numbers went. And then 2 weeks after that, we were already about 140. 2 weeks after that, we were 190. It was just wild.
Oh my God.
When Christine and Alina's Facebook page blew up, they were surprised as anyone. But I think they had absolutely no idea just how deeply involved they themselves would become in the hunt for the killer.
So what happened?
Moscow, Idaho,
so
a
impatient.
town of only 26,000 people, is typically quiet.
They never
safe.
recovered the murder
As
weapon
one business
either?
owner I spoke to put it, people don't even lock their car doors at night.
This is a small town police force with just a little over 30 people total working for it. And suddenly they're swept up in a quadruple homicide. So they were up against a lot, and immediately the internet went after this police force saying that they were incompetent. They couldn't handle it on their own.
There was a lot of criticism of Moscow police as being something out of Mayberry RFD or something, with Barney Fife fumbling his way around.
For a small town like Moscow, they do not have the laboratory techniques. They do not have the forensics to be able to conduct a true crime scene investigation.
The Moscow police, they didn't hesitate to bring in outside, state, even federal resources. But one thing that struck me very early on in the case, Chief Fry and his department were also careful to maintain control of the investigation as the lead agency in charge.
What I want people to know is this is a Moscow Police Department investigation. We pick the investigators.
They need assistance on a number of different levels. This house had a lot of transient visitors. It had a lot of students coming in and out. So if you're looking for someone who may have had some type of association with the victims, you now have opened it up to a wide cadre of people who potentially had contact with them.
Come to the door, guys. Send whoever lives here down to the door. We're not leaving.
I'm trying to get the timeline straight, because when did this happen?
When investigators started looking into the history of the King Road house, they found many incidents were reported.
Thank you.
They would give out the code on the door to their friends, and their friends would have parties.
So I just looked for everyone that lives here, and they're not here right now.
No one's here.
No one's here
at all.
No one's here. So everyone here's trespassing?
Wow.
Well, no one's here that's trespassing, but no.
It was such a party house that parties were going on whether or not the residents were even home.
Oh, dang.
What are their names? I am actually not sure.
When the crime scene is
days.
a place frequented by a large number of people, that complicates things because these are individuals you have to talk with. These are individuals that can contribute to DNA.
Unfortunately, when there were screams, cries for help, and the barking of a dog and other noises coming from the house on the night of the massacre, a lot of residents likely chalked it up to, well, they're just having another party.
In the days following the murder, as the attention of the world was really focused on Moscow, Idaho, they were basically saying nothing. Investigators were really, really tight-lipped.
We know you have questions, and so do we.
They told us the victims' names, they told us that it was a stabbing, and they told us there were no suspects at this time.
The police had locked the scene down, they'd locked the evidence down, they'd locked everything down.
At this time, I'm not going to expand upon that.
It's been a little more than 2 weeks now since the murders. Parts of the timeline are still missing, but we know according to police that Kaylee and Madison were here the night before the killings at a bar called the Corner Club in Moscow. Investigators say they were here between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. While investigators struggled to rein in false allegations, they were actually keeping concealed from the public some really crucial information about the night of the attack. There was an eyewitness account from one of the surviving roommates, and they were able to use that to reconstruct the movements of the killer that night.
The middle of the night, the suspect entered through the sliding glass doors on the main floor. And then there's a set of stairs which takes you up to the 3rd floor.
I believe his intended target was one of the girls upstairs.
He had a K-bar knife. It's like one step away from a samurai sword.
Oh, yeah.
It's a crazy weapon.
Usually
he
they're
wanted
serrated,
a
too.
physical battle.
He entered the bedroom where Kaylee and Maddie were sleeping and attacked them with a knife. It only took a few moments.
Dylan, one of the roommates in the house, heard noises above her. Her information is vital. She provides an eyewitness account. She puts the killer in the home at the time of the killings.
Dylan opens her door once, sees nothing, texts her housemates to be quiet. She's trying to go to sleep.
Meanwhile, the 5th roommate, Bethany, was believed to be asleep in her bedroom down on the basement level.
At the same time, Zaina and Ethan had just gotten the DoorDash, and I think as the killer's coming down, maybe like one of them like peeked out and saw him.
It's like a Scream movie.
There was a struggle outside Xana's room. Ethan was mortally wounded. Xana fought for her life.
Dang.
But they couldn't save each other.
The dog's barking. Dylan hears some yelling and some commotion. You know, she's yelling upstairs for the dog to stop barking.
Dylan got up and went to her door again. This time, when she looked out, she saw the dark figure of a man dressed all in black.
Oh, no.
He's wearing a mask. All she can see are his eyes and his bushy eyebrows, which really stand out to her. And he just walks right past her without saying anything and walks out the back of the house. All of this takes place within about 15 minutes. This is still about 4:15 a.m.
Dang.
And she stays in her room, and she doesn't call police for another 8 hours.
So this is one of the real mysteries of what happened that morning. Why did Dylan not notify police that something was wrong until around 12 noon on November 13th?
We don't know why that call came in at noon and not in the middle of the night.
What happened? Why the 8-hour delay?
Why?
One of the biggest unanswered questions about these murders was why did surviving roommate Dylan not call police for 8 hours after seeing the suspect in the house in the middle of the night?
The affidavit says after seeing this man, Dylan enters into a frozen shock phase.
She said, quote, that she was in a frozen shock phase. A frozen shock phase.
Why not call police? Could she have been in shock for that long?
When the world first learned that Dylan had actually laid eyes on the killer, I think there was a lot of confusion. I mean, the truth is, it's the middle of the night she opens her door and sees a strange man.
That's weird.
Probably had no idea what had happened in the house, but it's frightening enough to see a strange man in your house in the middle of the night. And so it's understandable that a 19-year-old would be slightly shocked.
How did she survive?
She was paralyzed with fear in that moment, and self-preservation becomes the #1 priority. And so it does not surprise me at all that she locked her door and was frozen with fear, and that there was such a delayed response.
Wow.
Another thing that police had in their possession from the beginning that the public knew nothing about turned out to be a critical piece of evidence.
The arriving first police officer on scene did see a knife sheath.
That's convenient.
That knife sheath had on it a Marine Corps logo.
The knife sheath was found with Kaylee and Maddie. As an investigator, you're securing that item to preserve whatever is on there, be it a fingerprint, a hair, DNA, blood, sweat, anything.
Wow. So this is where the
crime
DNA
lab then
comes from.
would have worked
Okay.
to try to extract DNA from that item. Now, assuming that this was just touch DNA and perhaps skin cells or maybe a little bit of sweat, this would have been a very small amount of DNA. But if they're successful at that extraction, then they will create what's called an STR profile.
A DNA profile was obtained from the sheath. Significant development in the case. Huge nuclear bomb in this investigation.
Interesting. Okay, well, there it is. I'm going to leave a link to this video in the chat and in the description for y'all. This is a crazy story. We didn't even get to hear about Brian yet in this one. I want to know what's going on with Brian. But y'all are giving me some insight. Let me know what y'all think about this. And should we continue to cover it once the trial starts? Let me know. Wow. Y'all said I might need some mods help with this one. It might be worth. Yeah, we got a lot of people feel strongly about Brian and what happened. We'll get into it a little bit later. Shout out to Elizabeth again for the 5-bomb. Thank you. And we got Amy in here with the cake. You know what time it is. It's lunchtime almost. It's not possible, but it's also not likely in 9 minutes. Do a quick video on Brian. Brian is the craziest thing about it. Multiple weapons suspected, but one suspect. Am I tripping? Or is this black cloaked stranger about to murder my friends and I? Like, who would ever think this could happen to you, especially young kids who think they're invincible, scared? Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 1000%. You're just probably like, can you go back upstairs? Other than the knife sheath, there's very little to go on besides vibes. And there was DNA from the other people too, so it's not great evidence. Yeah, but they dead. So I don't know what's up with that. Let's watch one on him. Y'all want to keep going? I have no clue. It's super odd. He looks like he did it. Y'all know people can change up a murder weapon in the middle of committing a crime. He looks like he did it. Oh, let's not do that. Wait till you hear about Brian. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to pivot live because CW did me dirty because we didn't really hear anything about Brian on this one. Let me see. Oh, they've got so many videos. That's not going to be a good way to do it. Dang. All right, here we go. You know what? I'm going to bait y'all. I'm going to bait you guys into coming to the show tomorrow. All right. We still got 1 day left. We're going to be covering some Karen Reed stuff tomorrow, but we'll also talk about Ryan. So I baited y'all into subscribing and coming back to the show tomorrow. We're here every weekday morning for the show, so make sure y'all tune in. You don't want to miss an episode. If you haven't yet, like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video. Thank you to all 3,000 of y'all that liked the video. My goodness, y'all are showing some major love in here, and I have to shout out everyone who supported and went the extra mile and dropped the super chat in there as well. Shout out to Jay Buckmaster and Slim Life over on Cash Out, Les Cleaver, Virginia, Wiley in here, Slim Life, New Jersey, Keep It Moving, New York. Thank you. We got Kara Hampton, Nosy Rosie, Mr. Brown, Red Bunny Classic, Amy Smith, Christine B, CPE, my guy. We got Derek Crossan in there as well. Ida was in here. We had Deborah Rose. And then, of course, my awesome, amazing Amy, always coming through. You know what time it is. Thank y'all again for the love and support. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow morning. You don't want to miss out on that show because we're going to have more news and updates on Karen Reed. We'll get into a little bit more of what's going on with Brian Kohberger. We might talk about Tyler Perry too. That's a mess. That's a whole mess. And even Diddy. We've got a lot coming up. So make sure y'all tune in for it. Thank you guys again for the support. And as always, you know what to do. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. And thank you to Kara as well, who says, have a great day on purpose. Thank you for the super chat, Kara. Kara coming in with the clutch 2 bomb. Appreciate you.